Alright, welcome to our kitchen. Tonight we're going to be making vegetarian lasagna. Now, a lasagna can be anything you want it to be. It can have all the ingredients that you like. So you can throw in squash into it, you can throw in all sorts of different types of vegetables. It's entirely up to you. So whatever vegetables you like, that's what you use. Tonight we're going to be using carrots and onions and celery to help make the tomato base for the lasagna. We're going to be throwing some mushrooms, sun-dried tomatoes, and some zucchini in there as well. So that will make it up as we're building it. So there's kind of three parts to it. First of all, we're going to prepare the tomato sauce and get some of the vegetables ready in here. Then we'll be building the lasagna, and then we'll be cooking. We'll throw it in the oven for an hour and see what it turns out at the very end. So, starting first of all, you're going to want to use some oil to get the vegetables ready for your tomato base. And we'll let that warm up a little bit. And then we're also going to want to cook down our mushrooms as well. So we're not going to put those raw into the lasagna. We're going to cook them down a little bit. And we're going to combine that with some oil and some butter in a frying pan. We'll cook those down. And as everyone knows, mushrooms cook down quite a bit. So even though you think you have a lot, it usually cooks right on down. Alright, so we're going to get the tomato base ready. And we're going to be starting in with throwing some carrots in there. Oh, sorry, the onions, the carrots, no, you're not going to throw all those in, and the celery. So this is the basis for making soups, for making spaghettis. You cook this all up for about 10 minutes, somewhere around there. Saute down that so they're all soft and kind of glistening looking. And then once that happens, we can throw our tomato sauce in there and start cooking the tomato sauce up. Mushrooms, going to cook separately. And like I said, even though you think it's a lot of mushrooms, it's going to cook down quite substantially. So this is going to take a little while to get that going. And we'll wait for that to cook up. We'll go to commercial break. So after about 10-15 minutes, your carrots, your mushrooms will be done. And we're just going to put that aside till we're ready to put that into the lasagna. So we'll just put that aside. Now this is not quite ready yet. The onions and carrots and celery are almost ready, but there's one other flavor you want to be able to add into that, and that's the onions. You don't do it at the beginning because you'll end up burning them, and it'll give a burnt taste to your spaghetti sauce. So you do this after about 15 minutes. You add it in, and you can add as many garlic cloves as you want, depending on what you like. So once you put that in, throw it around a little bit, let it cook for about 5 more minutes. And then we're going to add our tomato base, or tomato sauce. There we go. Alright, so after the celery and the garlic and the onions have been sauteing for another 5 minutes, now you start adding your tomato sauce. It can be diced tomatoes, it can be marinara sauces, it can be whatever you want to use, whatever makes it easiest for you. So we're just going to add this to the sauce, and we're going to want to make sure we have enough because we cover off the entire base of the lasagna. So I'm going to also throw a can of this in. Whatever you have available will work. Now we're going to let that cook for about 30 minutes. Cook it down and let the flavors from the onions and carrots make their way through the tomato sauce. And then we're going to basically take a grinder and grind it all down, make it nice and smooth so we don't have lots of chunks in here. Because what we want to be able to do is layer lasagna so the pasta is close to each other. You get as many layers in that you possibly want. If you want to make the thicker sauce with bulkier ingredients, you can do that as well. It comes down to what you really like. I like to have the sauce all thinned down, and so I will take a grinder to this later on and chop it all up, and we'll be back in 30 minutes. Well, while we're waiting for the spaghetti, for the tomato sauce to cook down, I'm going to show you a quick recipe for one of the best Caesar salads that I've ever tasted. And this is a recipe I learned off an old friend about 30 years ago who used to be a chef. He taught me this and I've never deviated since then. So it's really quite quick. So first of all, you're going to need 1 cup of mayonnaise. So the 1 cup of mayonnaise. And you want to be using real mayonnaise. Put that in there. You're going to use half a lemon. You're going to squeeze the juices out of that. Throw that in there. The garlic again is up to you in terms of how much garlic you would like to have in it, but 1 clove is usually sufficient to give it a nice rich flavor. There we are. The one thing we almost forgot was the Worcestershire sauce. And we need 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire. There we go. 1 tablespoon of that. A small squirt of prepared mustard. Give it a little bit of zing to that there. And then some pepper to taste. And you can put as much pepper as you want in there. And then this will be the best Caesar salad you have ever had. I rarely get any complaints about the dressing for this Caesar salad. Now remember, these are vegetarian dishes. They're not vegan, so they do contain dairy products. So mayonnaise contains eggs in it, and our lasagna is going to have cheese. So it's a vegetarian dish, not a vegan dish. There are ways to make them vegan if you wish. However, you're going to have to get a much better cook than me to do that one. Okay, welcome back. Alright, so after about 20 minutes of the tomato sauce sauteing down, we're going to start making the granulated meat product that goes along with it. Now you can leave this piece out if you just want to have that strictly vegetarian without the plant-based ground meat in it. But we're going to try this because it gives that texture of a regular lasagna with the ground beef in it without the beef part. So this is the product that we're using right here, and it comes as a fairly large lump, and basically what you do is you just take it and you break it up and throw it into a nice hot frying pan. Now this one already has some oil in it because we used it for the mushrooms, and we'll just kind of grind this all up in the frying pan on medium heat for about 10 minutes, and we'll throw a few spices, salt and pepper on there. This is an Italian spiced plant-based product, so we don't have to add a lot of spices to it because that's already been done to it. So we're going to warm this all up, and then we'll sprinkle this on each layer of lasagna. Now you can either throw this into the sauce if you want, or you can do it separately. I'm going to do it separately just because with a plant-based product this may get too mushy, and so I want to only put it into the lasagna as its own single layer as opposed to mixing in with the tomato sauce. So we're just going to let that warm up. I'm just going to wash my hands here a little bit. So we'll just and you'll just cook this up until it looks almost just like regular ground meat. But like it says, it has a nice Italian smell. You can smell that already. The spices in there. So this should add a nice flavor to the sauce and the lasagna once we put it in. But we'll just let that kind of slowly heat up, look like it's been cooked. And while we're waiting for that, what we're going to do is this is now ready to blend up. We're going to puree it into a nice, beautiful tomato sauce for our lasagna. So I find the best way to do this is just take one of the Cuisinart's sticks, and we just kind of basically mix it all up and grind it all down. Alright, so you can see that the carrots and celery and onions are still quite large in here, and so we're just going to puree this down to a nice smooth sauce, and all those wonderful flavors will be released into the tomato sauce, and it'll smell like authentic Italian spaghetti sauce. Alright, so we've prepared the sauce, we've prepared the meat, we've got everything cut, and now we're ready to build the lasagna, and then we're going to cook it. So, first of all, you want to make sure that nothing sticks to the inside of the pan. So we're going to throw a little bit of olive oil in there and use a napkin to make sure that it is well oiled so that nothing sticks to the pan. It makes it much easier for the kids to clean out later on, because you know they're going to be cleaning it out, because that's why we have kids, so they can clean up after us. Anyways, so we get that down. What we're going to do is put a little bit of sauce in the bottom, just to coat the bottom a little bit. There we are. And then we're going to add our first layer of lasagna noodles. And I've pre-cut these so they fit the container, so just so it goes a little faster during the process here. So I've pre-cut these. These are fresh pasta noodles. You can use the hard ones if you want. These just form nicely to the bottom. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put some mushrooms in there. And we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of everything that we have inside each layer of lasagna. So some mushrooms, some sun-dried tomatoes, okay, some zucchini, here, a few carrots. So these will all cook in the oven because it's going to take about an hour for this to cook once it's we've stacked everything. And then we're going to put some sauce over top of that. And once the sauce is in, a nice layer of sauce in there, then we're going to throw some Italian mixed cheese. So this has a little bit of mozzarella, a little bit of Asiago, and a few other cheeses. It's a 3-blend cheese, which you can buy from the local market, wherever you shop. Makes life a little bit easier. You could do this by shredding up your own cheese, but this just makes it go much faster. So there's our kind of our first layer of all of our ingredients. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the next layer of pasta over top of that, and we're just going to keep on build. Oops, I almost forgot. I'm going to take that back. I made a mistake. I almost forgot a little bit of the ground plant-based meat. So I apologize for that. And there we are. And then we'll put that back down again. There we go. So we're on to the next layer. So again, we just keep on mixing things up with lasagna, a little bit of mushroom, sun-dried tomatoes. You want to try to get at least 4 layers into this to mix everything up nicely. Okay, and this time won't forget the meat this time, or the plant-based ground beef substitute. There we are. A few carrots. zucchini. There we are. The cheese. And then more sauce on top of that again. Alright, so we're on our final layer. That's 4 layers that we've put in there. So this is our final layer going on top. And you can see how quickly it rises. There we are. And for our last few, this will be exposed to the top, so there won't be any more layers of pasta on top of this. So it will be the final layer, and we will probably skip the other vegetables on top. We're just going to put some last bit of plant-based meat on top of here. And this will give it a nice Italian flavor. There we go. And then our final layer of tomato sauce on top of that. And then we'll be ready for the oven. So we're we've got the oven warming up, and it is set for 375 degrees. And we're going to bake this for about an hour in the oven. And then when it's finished, we'll let it sit for about 20 minutes before we actually serve it to the waiting and adoring public. So there we are, and then the last bit of cheese on there. And it's always good to, when you're baking this, is to put some parchment paper below the this, because this is going to bubble over and you don't want it to stain the entire bottom of your oven. So parchment paper will allow you to clean up quickly in the oven. So there we go. That's our vegetarian lasagna with carrots and zucchini, plant-based meat, cheese, and fried mushrooms. So that's what it looked like when it's all done. So this is going to go into the oven, 375 for an hour. Alright, everything's ready. We've pulled the lasagna out of the oven, and it's been cooling down for the past 10-15 minutes. We've got our salad here, our Caesar salad, and Caesar salad dressing is right here. Just a word of warning is when you make a Caesar salad dressing of this type anyways, because it has mayonnaise in it, you make sure that you put the dressing on at the very, very end. You don't let it sit, otherwise your leaves, your lettuce will go limp, and so you want to do it as last minute as possible. So what we have is our dressing, our romaine lettuce, our crouton, and I almost forgot, our Parmesan cheese, our freshly grated Parmesan cheese. So once we have that, we can get this all set up. We can pour our dressing into the salad. We can toss it all up. There we are. Throw some croutons in there, a few croutons. Okay, and some Parmesan cheese. And you can always throw some more Parmesan cheese on later before you serve it. So a nice garlicky Caesar salad. If you want to make this meat-based, you can always add bacon to it. What you can also do too is if you like anchovies, add a little bit of anchovy paste to it, and give it a slightly different flavor. But there's our Caesar salad all ready to go. And so now what I'll do is I'll cut up our lasagna I'll cut a small piece out of here. It's a nice thick lasagna. And I'll cut it down there. Get it around the edge so it doesn't stick. And I hope this will just slide out nice and easily. Okay, there we are. Come out nice and evenly there. There's our lasagna. And then our Caesar salad off to the side. A little bit of sprinkling lasagna, Parmesan on top of it. And there we go. There's dinner for tonight. Caesar salad and vegetarian lasagna.